Hello, this is Dr. Christine Deakins, Director of Academic Support Programs at Eastern Michigan University. Today I want to talk to you about a strategy for improving learning, retrieval practice. Actually, to call this a strategy is a bit of a misnomer because it's something we already do when we learn. In this video, I'm going to explain retrieval practice and provide some recommendations regarding how you can strategically use retrieval practice to improve learning. Retrieval practice has been described as the foundation of deep learning. It's a study practice that most students are familiar with, as it's really all about learning foundational knowledge, which most students already identify as memorization. However, retrieval practice goes well beyond just memorization. Retrieval practice could also be called repeated recall. From a system standpoint, when we repeatedly try to recall information, we not only strengthen neural connections, but we increase the number of neural pathways in our brain, which makes it easier to retrieve bits and pieces of information. All new learning requires a foundation of prior knowledge. Embedding new learning in long-term memory requires a process of consolidation where the brain's representations of new learning are strengthened and given meaning and connected to prior knowledge. So how do we do this? Well, first it's important to understand that learning is deeper and more durable when it's effortful. Sometimes when learning is slower and harder, it feels counterproductive, which is why it's easy to fall back on strategies that we're all familiar with, like cramming. Even though learning gains with those strategies are only temporary, there are strategies you can use that are more effective than others when practicing retrieval, and here are a few. Self-quizzing is the first. A single simple quiz after reading a text or hearing a lecture produces better learning and remembering than rereading the text. It's called the testing effect. We know that when students who self-quiz after a class, they can retain up to 50% more than their classmates. So after class, create a self-quiz from your notes, recalling main ideas, new terms, and relating new information to what you already know. Combine the material you just learned with material from previous week's lessons to make sure you're learning and building on previous information. Consider turning your self-quiz into other forms of studying, like flashcards. Also, try extracting the key ideas from the new material and organizing them into mental models, and then connect that mental model to prior knowledge. To learn better and remember longer, try to vary up your practice. Don't try just one of these strategies, use them all. So for example, one session, maybe you do self-quizzing, for the next you create flashcards, and then after that you build your mental models. But be careful not to mistake familiarity with information for actual mastery of that information. Sometimes when we reread our notes or a chapter in a text, we think we know the information, when all we've really done is become familiar with the content. When this happens, it's time to step up your game. To really master something, you need to go beyond just being able to recall the information. Reflection helps with this. When we reflect, we think about what we know. Here are some things to consciously think about as you reflect on your new learning. Ask yourself, how does what I'm learning connect to what I already know? Express what you're learning in your own words. If you're learning a new process, perhaps visualize and mentally rehearse what you might do differently the next time that will result in a better outcome. When reviewing a completed test, look at the questions you got wrong and explain why and how you got them wrong. After reading a passage in a text, write down 10 facts you didn't already know about the material. Think about how you will be using this new information in the future in your new career or your job. Retrieval that requires effort makes for stronger learning and retention. We're easily seduced into believing that learning is better when it's easier, but research shows the opposite. When the brain has to work hard, learning sticks better. For more ideas about how to use retrieval practice to improve learning, check out the Retrieval Practice Guide at www.retrievalpractice.org/library. All sorts of additional resources related to learning at www.retrievalpractice.org/make-it-stick. This video was brought to you by the learning experts at the Home and Success Center. This is Dr. Deakins signing off.